Hello, cherished ducklings. This is Peri Lyons, New York City celebrity psychic, and we apologize for the delay. Um, it's really funny. I got to tell you something. This is a true tales of psychic showbiz. I did a very, if I say so myself, it was a bloody brilliant reading. Not literally bloody. That's a British expression, right? I know you know that, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew you weren't watching a true crime channel. Anyway, so I did a reading the other night for somebody who called into the show, and I often do free readings for people who've lost somebody very near and dear to them in the first year. And this young woman had called into the show. Anyway, long story short, all psychic mediums, or all of us like me, or John Edward, or Bill Bradley, or any of the real ones, have nights when it's like you just can't stop saying the correct stuff. So here's the reason I'm bringing this up, is I was lying on the couch saying, yeah, he's right here. Well, man, he looks like a movie star, which he does. He's got a truck. The truck's name is Brenda. It's a white truck. He was born in Texas. So, all of that stuff. Like bim, bam, boom, it happens, which is really fun when it does. But here's the thing. I don't think he left after the reading, because stuff has been vanishing since last night. And that's something that having a playful energy who wants your attention, that's something that happens. So this is why I tell people, don't use Ouija boards. Don't try mediumship at home. It takes a long, long time of training, a lot of falling down and getting up. You also really want to be careful. I thought I was. I did all the precautions, Archangel Michael, salt, setting a chihuahua on fire. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. Not without marshmallows. Anyway, and the reason we were late tonight is because I went to go to my camera setup, and the thing that holds the camera, missing, gone. It was there this afternoon. It's been there. It doesn't move. I don't move things, because if I do move things, they get lost. But I didn't move that. Also, last night I was just sitting by the fire, which is my little fire, you can see there. And if you're going to judge me for it saying Duraflame on the side, you go hew your own wood, because I'm a busy girl. So last night, after I did the call, there was a gold sequin pillow on a chair, which I have one at my friend's house in the city, my girlfriend where I stay. But I didn't think I brought it home. And I'm serious, it's a gold sequin pillow. And, I would turn my head and do something else. I look back, it's gone. I live alone right now. I probably shouldn't tell you this. And the jewelry is in the drawer over there. I also have an alarm system that's like 47 Dobermans on acid, so don't even think about it. But not that you would. You're awesome. Long story short, I think I'm haunted right now, and I'm not kidding. And it's happened before. Those of you who tuned in very kindly, tuned into the show before, have been here when I was doing mediumship work for one young woman, and her dad and my dad were stationed in the army in Germany around the same time. And I couldn't quite get this guy. It was early on in the show. It was like 4 years ago. I'm like, he's in some sort of, it's like a tuxedo. He's got very good posture. What is it? I can't quite get it. And the uniform thing never crossed my mind. Her father was an army professional. Mine wasn't. And just at that moment, a souvenir from my dad's time in Germany, in Bavaria, literally jumped off the mantelpiece. And people were like, that's really cool, man. How did you fake that? I'm like, have you met me? I couldn't fake putting my socks on. I mean, also, there's no way to fake that I can think of. Anyway, so here's some stuff to do if you don't want ghosts in your house. 1, it's going to sound a little crazy, but put salt around the doorstep. I'm going to go put salt around sort of the whole perimeter. I know it seems like salt, really? Are you going to have the ghost die of like high blood pressure? Is that your plan? Like, no, that's not my plan. Although now that you think of it, it's kind of a good plan. But the other thing I like to do is Archangel Michael, back, forth, sideways, and down. I don't care if you're Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Muslim. The archangels are energies that have existed since before time was time, and before I was even late, which is really time. And we make up these names for them, but they always serve this purpose. There are different purposes. Archangel Michael is sort of the one who protects the caveman from the wolves outside the fire. I mean, obviously things have come a little farther since then, but he is it when it comes to any kind of spiritual protection. And often, honestly, it took me a really long time to be able to say this kind of thing without embarrassment, because my parents are, but they were scientists, and I really like facts. But the fact is, this stuff works. You can't rely on it. It's like luck. If you rely on intuition alone to get you through life without getting a job or without getting up and making your own luck and hoping, you're not going to do well. And it's funny because I've been a psychic for 20 years now. I mean, I started pretty young. I couldn't help it. The real ones can't help it. It's not a lot of fun. Being a real psychic, I don't think you don't want to go there. Also, there's stuff that real psychics are not allowed to do. Oh, I just got off the topic of keeping ghosts away from your home. Don't use Ouija boards. Not ever. You might as well just put a big sign up in the spirit world that says free beer and Springsteen tickets. Come on in. And you will get absolute rabble of spirits. You don't want them there. They're like looking for, you get a bunch of freeloading dopes if you do that. If you want to learn to do mediumship work, you need to spend time finding a real teacher. I would kind of stay away from it, because if you can do it, you're already doing it, and you just need help and protection. If you can't do it, please don't bother. It's a pain in the bum. When I first discovered that I could talk to dead people, which was more like they showed up and I had to be polite, it wasn't fun. Okay, it was fun the first time. Not gonna lie. Not when I saw the ghosts. Ghosts are terrifying to me. Ghosts. But the first time I talked to people who weren't actually in the whole alive sector anymore was at my friend Alan Michelson. He's a brilliant indigenous American artist. Brilliant. And this is about 20 years ago. My then husband was a fine artist, and I was going to have a party in his studio. All my girlfriends were supposed to come, but that afternoon, the skies opened, and there was lightning from floor to ceiling. Not in the apartment. You know what I mean? There was lightning from sky to earth for about 20 hours. It was nuts. People dumbly went out on their iron balconies and said, "Well, I'm just going to put my foot in a pot of water and look at this." They immediately taken out of the gene pool. But so Alan gave me some wine. My friends didn't show up. There was huge electricity in the air. Alan and I are chatting, and I look up and I say, "There's somebody standing next to you, and I can see through her." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yes." And I said, "She's about 5'1", looks kind of like a Russian old guy, but in a wig. She's holding this blue cake thing with a puffy cake on top of it. She's wearing a house dress. She's great. She says her name is Rosa, and she's born either March 13th or 15th. And he said, "That's my adoptive grandma. That's my grandma." And I went through his entire family. I could see them all standing there. And they would just feed me facts, because I guess they wanted him to know that they were still around him. I'm not sure why, but they all showed up. And as it turned, there was a very complicated adoption story there too that I'm not going to get into because I dumbly mentioned his name. But if you haven't had a paranormal experience by the age of 29, 30, I would say maybe it's not in this lifetime what the universe wants you to focus on. I'm a writer and a singer. I performed all over. I mean, I did pretty well singing in New York, she says, in a modest fashion, but I believe women should brag, and I write songs. But the psychic thing literally like picked me up and went, boom, and put my head in it. Like, do I have a choice here? Because I'd really like to go back to retail if it's all the same to you. And things were just arranged. So I wound up doing this for a living, which thank goodness. And the other thing is, if you want to be a psychic, it's not about you. I have trouble remembering that. I have the Leo moon, big egotist, not a narcissist, big ego. It's fun. You have to be a performer, be a performer. But if it's just about you wanting fame, that doesn't work. You have to really love the people you're reading for, even if you don't. Because I promise, if you start a reading, if you ever get that far and want to do this, and there's a lot of responsibility here, so never, ever, ever say anything like do this or somebody will die, ever. Anybody says to you anything like do this or this person will die or this person's going to get up, get your purse, take your money, get the hell out of there. Slug them first would be my advice. A lot of irresponsible psychics working out there. Anybody tells you anything other than here are the possibilities I see for you. Here are the people who are coming through for you. This might be my imagination. I might be really good at reading your micro expressions. Who knows? But once people who use this for power and manipulation, they're not going to be good, and you're not going to get a good reading, and they can hurt you. So you want to go for sort of big, gentle dopes like me. A lot of astrologers and healers are actually pretty psychic. That's why they go into that. It's not their first love. But my friend Elizabeth Grace is, I'd say, a psychic astrologer. There's some really great people out there. I'm rambling. That's because a ghost messed with my camera. And so I started late. So we couldn't take callers. I'm hoping that next week you'll come back. And I'll be all on time, and I will be unghosted by then, because I'm going to show this guy back into the light, take responsibility for my part, and bring him here when he didn't really ask to be brought here. And I guess, I don't know. The only other thing, my producers asked me to talk about the eternal wisdom of drummers, but that's because he's a drummer. But I will tell you a musician joke. And then, Dave, how much time do we have? Oh, great, my producer. What? Okay, so here's my musician joke. It's an insider musician joke. Did you hear about the bass player who locked his keys in the car? Yeah, he had to break the window to get the drummer out. If you've ever been in a band, you'll find that funny. What do you call a lead guitar player who doesn't have a girlfriend? Homeless. What's the difference between an accordion and an onion? Nobody ever cries when you chop up an accordion. And what's the least used question in the English language? Hey, isn't that the banjo player's Porsche? Okay, guys, I love you. Come back next week. You got a little stream of consciousness advice and some backstage look at what it's like to be inadvertently the real deal. But I hope you'll call next week and let me be the real deal for you, because I freaking adore you. I just do. All right, darlings. Mwah. Peri Lyons, New York City celebrity psychic, Moonstruck TV, A1R Psychic Radio. They're great people on the station. Australian Cowgirl, all these really cool people. The producers really know what they're doing when it comes to picking talent, except for me, I just bribed them. And come sit by my fire next week. I'm Joan of Arc. Okay, bye-bye.